What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Back with my segment, The Rundown. Basically, if you're new to the channel, what The Rundown is the hot topics, the current points for June 17th. And I try to go over everything in one video, one compact video, so it's a one-stop shop. You hear all your boxing news and highlights, the little tidbits to get you guys caught up to speed so you know what's going on in the world of boxing. It saves my workload so I don't have to make several videos talking about these different points, and you get it all in one location. Think of it like a boxing gumbo. You got your crab, you got your chicken, whatever else you put, the sausage, rice, all in one video. So let me run down it, get through this easy work, and talk about what's hot in boxing. Now, Andy Ruiz, heavyweight power puncher, he's going to be teaming up with Abel Sanchez, most known for his training of Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, and he's going to be working with him in Big Bear. I think it's a good look. I think the heavyweight division, more so than past years, has actually emerged a bit, where you got some players. You got Deontay Wilder as the champion now. You still got Bermane Stiverne, who I feel could be dangerous. Chris Arreola, of course, Klitschko, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua's running through people, making a name for himself. So I think this is a good look. Andy Ruiz, anybody who wants to perfect their craft and hone their skills, I'm all for it. Abel Sanchez is definitely a good trainer, and being around the Golovkin energy, who's building a rapid fan base and name for himself, I think that's a good gym to be in. Any kind of gym that has like a star in it with some momentum. So good for Andy Ruiz. Maybe we can get there's a couple fights I'd like to see him. Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder, Amir Mansour, Povetkin's there. You know what I mean? There's some players at heavyweight at the moment. So good for Andy Ruiz. We'll see what he brings to the table with Abel Sanchez. And also, middleweight Danny Jacobs will be facing Sergio Mora on the Paulie Malignaggi versus Danny Garcia undercard in the Barclays. Now, I like this. Danny Garcia being from Brooklyn, Barclays in Brooklyn, and anything that PBC can do to add more fights to the card, I'm all for it. And also, I like it because Sergio Mora was robbed of his opportunity at a title, since he was supposed to face Jermaine Taylor, who was the champion, but Jermaine Taylor, obviously kind of a basket case and has some things going on outside of boxing. He was getting arrested, and that whole fight fell apart for a second time. That fight was actually supposed to happen years ago, and it never did. I think that first time was because of Sergio Mora, if I'm not mistaken, but the second time, it wasn't. The first time, I think Sergio Mora pulled out of the Jermaine Taylor fight because he didn't want to give Taylor a hometown advantage, or was too close to Taylor's home or something like that. But the second time, he was willing to fight him, and it was going to be a title shot since Jermaine Taylor was the champion. But Jermaine Taylor, JT, couldn't get it together, and the fight eventually dissolved. Also, Badou Jack, new champion, who just beat Anthony Durrell, also with Floyd Mayweather's The Money Team, versus George Groves. Now, I like this fight. Super middleweight's another division where you're starting to see more and more players. This weekend, Andre Ward is coming back after several layoffs. He's almost had 2 layoffs, if you think about it. One because of his injury. Then he came back, had one fight versus Edwin Rodriguez, beat him, took his O, because Rodriguez was undefeated. Then he disappeared again, dealing with legal troubles. That has been past him now, and he's with Rock Nation. He's coming back on Saturday, so I'm anxious to see how he looks. Shout out to the Golden State Warriors for winning, the Oracle, the whole Bay, Oakland, 510, I see you. And I'm interested in the super middleweight division. You also have guys like James DeGale, lost to George Groves, but he recently became a champion by beating Andre Durrell, which is no easy task. So I really like that. So Badou Jack, a champion, versus George Groves, a guy that's been in there with Carl Froch and beat James DeGale, and arguably was, not arguably, he was winning versus Carl Froch in the first fight, and the first fight had some controversy behind it with the stoppage. So I like this fight. I think it's a good fight for super middleweight. See who wins that particular one, and then the winner can maybe fight James DeGale. If it's George Groves, a James DeGale rematch would be good, and that would be a unification, so it kind of sweetens the pot. If George Groves beats Badou Jack, then he'll become a champion, and James DeGale, as I mentioned, is also a champion, so that'll be a rematch for a unification. Or if Badou Jack wins, then, I mean, rightfully so, fight the other guys like James DeGale or Andre Ward, and that'll be a champion with a title defense. So I'm all for it. Now, the thing is a bit confusing at the moment, and we don't have any kind of assurance, but I believe Floyd Mayweather wants to put Badou Jack's fight. There's a lot of reports that are saying this fight's going to take place late August. I think Badou Jack versus George Groves might land on the Floyd Mayweather undercard for September 12th, I think it is. But I'm not sure because obviously we don't even know who Floyd Mayweather is facing at the moment. He says he wants to fight in September, but everything's up in the air. And Canelo Cotto, I told you guys that probably is not going to happen in September. I'm going to make a separate video about that. So it looks like Floyd will have the September dates, no problem. It's just a matter of who he's going to select as an opponent. And I don't think it's Kell Brook, which leads me to my next point, because Kell Brook is reportedly going to face Brandon Rios. Now, Bob Arum, this is not 100% confirmed, but Bob Arum did an interview with Fight Hype. Make sure you check them out. Shout out to Fight Hype. And he sounds optimistic that this fight is going to go down with Brandon Rios and Kell Brook. And he's obviously Brandon Rios' promoter. So my thing with the Kell Brook Brandon Rios fight, stylistically, it's not a terrible fight, like the worst fight. However, why did we have to sit through Frankie Gavin? They should have just immediately, like, Frankie Gavin should have never even taken place, because that was kind of a waste of an event. And from what I hear, the UK fans had to pay pay-per-view for that. Luckily, I was able to stream it. However, it just kind of seemed like after your mandatory defense with JoJo Dan, why didn't you just go straight into Brandon Rios instead of kind of slowly stringing it along and having these title defenses? Brandon Rios also, if you look at his welterweight run, he's a good fighter, but it hasn't been impressive. He lost to Pacquiao his first fight at welterweight. Then he tested positive, and by loss to Pacquiao, I mean he got shut out. Then he took a long layoff because he was suspended. Came back and he was fighting Diego Chavez, who I think he was losing to on the scorecards. And then Diego Chavez got disqualified for fouling. And then after that, he fought Mike Alvarado, who clearly just seemed like his priority is not boxing. Been through some wars and stuff like that. So, I mean, if Kell Brook is to beat him, I in that fight, I see Kell Brook has more to lose than he does to gain, if that makes sense. And if Brandon Rios beats Kell Brook, then his career is back on track. However, if Kell Brook beats Brandon Rios, it's less of a statement for him because he's champion. He beat Sean Porter when he was undefeated and a champion. So what is beating Brandon Rios at welterweight? Again, if you look at Brandon Rios' wins, he has 2 wins at welterweight. One was against Mike Alvarado, who hadn't really been fighting at welterweight. He had fought Marquez at a catchweight, and then previously he was at 140, and he got banged up. Rios knocked him out. Ruslan Provodnikov made him quit and knocked him out. I mean, who is Brandon Rios beat at welterweight? You know what I'm saying? To the point where Kell Brook is really earning stripes. Again, stylistically, Brandon Rios has dog in him. Not a bad fight, but I'm talking about in terms of being a meaningful fight. I don't really know what it does for Kell Brook. And that is the rundown. Let me know what you guys think of this particular episode. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.